How's it going, everybody? This is Cameron White with White Light Astrology, and welcome back to your favorite weekly horoscope. What the fuck is going on in the universe for December 30th of 2019 through January 6th of 2020? It feels weird saying that already, but thank you guys so much for being here and liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you guys, and I'm so glad you guys can be here with me this week. I don't even know how I want to go about this week, to be honest, because if we bring up the highlights, look, we've got New Year's coming up this week. And this is in between eclipse seasons, so I feel like this isn't like a New Year's where we can go, yay, this is the start of the new year and let's begin all of our New Year's resolutions. This is more of like, the new year's really not going to start, in my opinion, until the Saturn-Pluto conjunction, but we still got some time before that. But we do have New Year's going on, of course, this week. The other highlight that we've got going on is Mercury conjoining Jupiter and eventually having Mercury conjoin the South Node. And the big thing with Mercury conjoining Jupiter is, while that is really pleasant, Jupiter is still combust right now. It's like you can't see it, it's underneath the beams of the sun, so it's not really too helpful. And Mercury conjoining Jupiter is kind of like something happening in the background, something that isn't immediately happening in your vicinity. So it's not necessarily something that's going to be up front in your face this week. But I do think Mercury conjoining the South Node as we move forward throughout this week is going to be a little bit, not even depressing, but because Mercury conjoining the South Node just sounds depressing, but it's just more of like a realization of where to go from here. And then once Mars moves into Sagittarius this week, that's when the ball really starts getting rolling. And the reason why I'm kind of bringing up this week this way is because, I just keep looking at, the next week that I have highlighted, and so much is going down next week that this week is just honestly really chill in comparison. And I really feel like this is the week to just kind of, kind of cross all your T's, dot all of your I's, kind of, get ready. And this isn't, one of those... This isn't the whole world's gonna come crashing down. I just think that this is a really important time for all of us in our lives. And I really do think that the Saturn-Pluto thing isn't just bad. It's not just, negative or depressing like a lot of people can put it that way. And I know I've been getting a lot of comments saying that oh, I've been negative and depressing about all of this stuff and 2020 looks awful. It's well, there's going to be challenges that we have in life, but the Saturn-Pluto thing, I've been making this, I think I've said this in the past couple of videos, but the South Node transiting Saturn and Pluto, that was the house catching on fire, and Saturn-Pluto conjoining is that house finally coming down, but there's a new foundation here. And it's not that old house, we have horrible memories in that house. It brought us nothing but pain and misery, and it's finally we finally get to clear all that and start something new, start something fresh. And it's not about, going oh, we get to start something new and fresh and this is exciting. It's finally we have even a level playing ground to work with. And why I bring it up this way too is because this week is kind of before you get started building building or rebuilding the house and, resetting the foundation or whatever it is, you want to make sure that area is clear. You want to make sure you have the design that you want. You want to make sure that you're seeing, every perspective that you can. And I bring up this week like this, I know we're still kind of talking about the highlights, and I'm honestly just going to go over this week super casually just because I think the message of this week is more important than the astrology. So just to kind of jump into it, on Monday, because we'll be continuing what I was just talking about too. I'm not done talking about that yet. But as we go into Monday, again, Mercury's trining Uranus, while the moon goes into Pisces. And the moon's going to be in Pisces as we get into the new year too. And I do think that this is going to kind of help us, kind of see everything that we need to. The moon in Pisces is such a nice time to just feel and embrace. It's not about charging forward or being abrupt or having a plan. And the moon in Pisces is just about feeling, embracing. And so as we go into Monday, I think that is going to give us a nice touch to kind of experience everything. Mercury's going to be trining Uranus, so this is going to be a nice time to kind of maybe think outside the box, come up with some creative ideas about how you are going to go about this Saturn-Pluto stuff that you've got going on. But then as we move into Tuesday, on the 31st, on New Year's Eve, that's when we're going to be having the moon conjoin Neptune. And the moon conjoining Neptune in the next couple of I think it's this time, and I think we have one more conjunction coming up in January. I think it's going to be interesting because we're having a lot of the Saturn or this Capricorn stuff sextiling Neptune. And so there's this handy, friendship between Neptune and Saturn right now, where Saturn's causing a lot of constraint and reality and seriousness, but Neptune is also splashing it with some mysticism, with some illusion, with some fantasy. And as the moon conjoins Neptune, I think this is going to be that good time to go, what is my vision? What is my dream? What is something that I want to positively see my outcome in? And the moon conjoining Neptune is also a good time to see where potential pitfalls might lie, where you might be not seeing past the veil. And I think that's going to be important as we go into January, just because it's going to be pretty realistic. Like, January is going to be very real. January is going to be very serious. So expect that. But then as we go into Wednesday, as we go into New Year's, Happy New Year, I think it's going to be exciting. I'm actually excited for 2020, even though like a lot of this shit's hitting my chart super bad so all of you haters just basically being like, you're so negative and depressing about this. Fuck you, it's hitting my chart exactly, and I'm still happy about it because at least we get to move forward. At least we get some new energy going on this year. But anyway, we get into the new year, and the moon goes into Aries. I think that this is exciting because, again, the moon was in Pisces before the new year. We kind of just got to feel like I forgot to say this too, take a minute to like reflect on this past year before we go into 2020. Like, this is definitely a lot's gonna happen between this time, so just reflect on what you went through, on what you experienced, and all of it. Because as we go into 2020, we're gonna have a whole new experience. Anyway, moon goes into Aries. We're a little bit more forceful. We're a little bit more determined. We're a little bit more upfront, and I think that this is gonna kind of help, anything that we might have been lagging on in December, kind of get the ball rolling as we go into January and as we go into the new year. And then as we go into Thursday, and this is when we actually get to a highlight, Mercury conjoins Jupiter. And like I said before, Jupiter's underneath the beams right now, so it's not like Jupiter and Capricorn's super prevalent or like present in our lives right now. It could be like, all right, where's Jupiter and Capricorn coming in? And usually as Mercury conjoins a planet, this is Mercury speaking like the message of this planet. This is Mercury hand delivering the message of Jupiter and Capricorn and what it's going to bring to us. But as it's kind of combust, it's kind of like, that might happen somewhere else. That's not happening, like the message isn't getting delivered to us. It's like the message got to the UPS store, and then the UPS store has to come bring it to us, if that makes sense. Like, it's here, but it's not available in our immediate vicinity. And so I do think as Mercury conjoins Jupiter, even though you may not see the luck in your face, like, believe the luck, trust the luck, you kind of have to have some faith in some things, and Jupiter and Capricorn might make that faith very difficult, but also if you are going to be faithful, you have to be fucking serious about it. Like, you're not just going to get what you want or manifest your dreams just by half-ass believing what you can do. You have to like fully fucking commit to it. Anyway, as we move forward, and as Mercury conjoins Jupiter, it is going to be squaring the moon in Aries. So I do think that's going to be frustrating. That's why I kind of brought it up. Like, the moon in Aries is going to want to do things now, and as that's squaring Mercury and Jupiter, it's not going to exactly happen that minute, and that might be a little bit frustrating. There might be a little time delay on that. But again, you kind of just have to trust the process on this one, and trust me on this one. Then as we move forward, on Friday, the moon starts to square Saturn. But whatever, we'll get through it. But on Friday too, Mercury conjoins the South Node, and I think this is a little bit more interesting too, because the South Node's, again, releasing. It's like the toilet drain. Like, what are we expelling from our lives? And all this Capricorn stuff, that rigidity, that structure, the old complicated ways of doing things, it can be very easy to have us, it can be very easy having those things hold us back. But as Mercury conjoins the South Node, this is kind of that time of realization. This is kind of that time of being able to see what needs to get drained out, what needs to get let go of. And as Mercury conjoins the South Node, again, this is just kind of like that mental awareness towards it. But what else is exciting on Friday is, the moon squaring Saturn, Mercury conjoins the South Node. It's kind of like difficult, a lot of letting go, but Mars moves into Sagittarius. Thank God, I've been counting down the minutes for Mars to move out of Scorpio. Mars moving into Sagittarius is, it's going to be easy to get distracted. It's going to be easy to get overwhelmed with everything that we're doing. And it's going to get easy to just kind of go without stopping. But the good news is that this is a mutable sign. This is a changeable sign. Mars in Scorpio is a fixed sign. Things are staying the same. And as Mars moves into Sagittarius, you're going to start to see that energy change, that direction change. You're going to start seeing that pursuit change. And so if you've been looking for a little bit more change, a little bit more excitement, Mars in Sagittarius is there to bring it to you. And then we get to this weekend. And, nothing really crazy is happening this weekend, in my opinion. Moon goes into Taurus on Saturday, and it's going to be conjoining Uranus. Exciting, I guess. Moon and Taurus conjoining Uranus. I don't know what exactly that's going to bring. I think that's just going to be a little bit more of a shakeup in the system and the foundation. I think that'll be seen more politically than anything else. But then we get into Sunday, and the moon starts to trine Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, Mercury. And I do think that this is actually kind of helpful because this is kind of going, all right, where are we planting our seeds with this new construction? Where are we going to, where are we finding the value? Where are we really focusing our interests on when it comes to the Saturn Pluto stuff and all of this with the Sun there, Jupiter there, Mercury, all this stuff going on in Capricorn? And as the moon starts to trine it, this is like, all right, we can actually start making some progress. We can start realizing where do we want to, what are we valuing more? Where are we putting our interests? Where are we finding stability and security? But then we go into Monday and we start, I don't want to call it Hell Week because it's not Hell Week. It's just more of like, it's all finally happening, which is cool. But on Monday, the moon goes into Gemini, whatever. But Jupiter conjoins the south, or it begins to conjoin the south node, Jupiter begins to conjoin the south node on Monday. It's not exact yet, but during this like 3 or 4 day transit, this is going to be really interesting because Jupiter is all about what we believe. Jupiter is all about our faith, where we find spirituality, where we find our greatest abundance, where do we find luck, where do we find hope? And in Capricorn, or that cold, dark sign, that can be difficult. It can feel as if, hope might not be on the horizon, and hope is what you make. Or hope is what you create. It's kind of like up to you to create that luck. That's Jupiter and Capricorn's kind of MO, and it's kind of difficult to deal with. But as it conjoins the south node, again, this is a letting go. This is a releasing. This is a what doesn't serve us anymore. And there might be there's going to be a new system, a new way that we implement where our beliefs lie, how we have faith, what we believe in, where we actually put our optimism in. And that's going to start basically next week off, and as Jupiter leaves the south node, that's when we get into next week. Now listen to this. This is going to be a really long list. Jupiter conjoins the south node starting next week. Then we have Mercury going Cazimi. Then we have the lunar eclipse in lunar eclipse in Cancer. Then we have Mercury conjoining Saturn Pluto. Then we have Saturn conjoining Pluto. Then we have the Sun conjoining Saturn and Pluto. Then we have Venus moving into Pisces, and also in between the mix, Uranus stations direct. So if you're looking for the shakeup, next week is it, and this week isn't nearly as important as next week. And that's why I was kind of like, I don't really know how to start this. I don't really know how to talk about this one. The one thing I do want to say about this week, though, is, I don't even fucking know. This is just kind of like, again, cross your T's, dot your I's. Whatever Saturn Pluto is gonna look like, it's gonna begin. It's not bad. And that's the one thing I want to continue on is it's not bad. Like when we look at 2020 and we have Jupiter coming up to conjoin Pluto. When we get into the spring, Mars is gonna join the mix of Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto, and Capricorn. There's a lot of ambitious energy this year. And it's important to realize that ambitious energy. It's important to realize what can be started this year, but with the Saturn Pluto conjunction, all of that negative energy, it's just important to realize how serious this change is. It's important to realize that this isn't just one of those, I'm changing this about my life, or this all of a sudden changed. It's like we're really shifting into a new, I'm not one of those people that's like, we're going into a whole new timeline and a dimension. It's like, we don't need to use those ambiguous words to describe our experience. Like, realistically, this is about us doing something different. Cardinal signs initiate and begin, and Saturn Pluto's leveling out the foundation. So it's really just about building anew. And it's kind of shitty because of what we had to go through to get here. But the exciting news is we get to start all over again and build something completely different. And that's why you should be excited about this year. So if you're kind of depressed or anxious about this year, I'm not going to sit here and say you shouldn't be, because that's up to you. But I think it's also up to you to kind of look at this year as progressively and as positively as you can and go, hey, what am I willing to start? What am I willing to do different? What am I actually beginning? And take that serious. Don't take it lightly, and roll with it. Go with it. And I think this year is going to offer a lot of shit. This is definitely one of the years where everything starts to change. Last year was really fucking boring. Everything was the same for like the whole year. This year it's like bam, 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 bam. So if you've been kind of annoyed of what things have been, the good news is it's not going to be like that any longer. Not the bad news, but the hard to swallow news is it's up to you to create that other experience. The planets aren't going to do it for you, but the planets are there to help you. So that's what I got till we get to next week, guys. I don't know how long this one is, but I just want to do it casually. I'm just in this Saturn Pluto mood of like, you know what? It's not really, this is like a serious, I don't know, this is a serious time, but I'm excited. But anyway, thank you guys for being here. I love you guys, and I'll see you next week.